In this episode of Another Zelda podcast, David and Kate get together to build a top 10 list of some of the most beautiful places in the Zelda universe. Hello and welcome to Another Zelda podcast. I'm David, your host, here with my co-host Kate May. Kate, how are you? Wow, I got into the episode quick on that one.
Woo! I'm good.
It was zero vamping. Oh, I guess now I'm interrupting you, which is kind of a weird version of vamping, but
I mean, it's like olden times.
Olden times.
Olden times.
Yeah.
Old times. Yeah, I'm good.
Getting some of those season 1, season 2 vibes in,
Yeah,
huh?
exactly.
Just talking over each other left and right.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
Kate, how are you for real though? I'm sorry.
I'm good for real.
For real?
How are you
Excellent.
for real?
I'd say I'm good for real.
Okay.
But for fake, I'm miserable.
Let's move on.
I just need some of that reality show drama.
Oh, okay, yes.
Oh, did you see David? He's so miserable. Hot takes.
Let's
All
talk
right.
about it.
I'm in a goofy mood here. Today we are going to be building a top 10 list. Now, it's been a while since even you and I have done that.
Yes.
We're going full old school. We're gonna submit our 5, and we're gonna talk about the list at the end of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And the top 10 list will be about beautiful. Did we end up calling it beautiful locations? I think.
Yeah, beautiful places, locations, beautiful areas. Just it's beautiful.
Yep. Excellent. I love it. I have a little bit of listener feedback.
Cool.
And pardon me 1 second. There we go. I just had to pull up a file. And I think, I guess we're going to get into it. Beautiful places. That's great. Yeah. Maybe we'll say this. I don't usually do this, but I'll do it at the top of the episode for this one. Let's try something a little new.
Oh.
As you're listening to the show, if you're inclined to tweet us about beautiful places that you like or don't like, or you have some thoughts about what we have as submissions, because I'm good at sentences. The thing, Kate, is I'm good at making sentences.
I can tell. Really, really good at it.
All I was trying to say is feel free to tweet us while you're listening at Another Zelda pod. I got to reel it in.
You know, David's new to this, so he'll get it one day. He'll figure it out.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I'm excited to get to my list. I'm excited about my list, Kate. How do you feel about yours?
We'll get into it. I noticed a theme as I was collecting my list.
Fascinating.
But yeah, I have lots of like nice emotional associations with these places, and it made me happy to put this list together because beautiful is happy.
I will say I made kind of one little rule for myself. I tried to not repeat any games. So my 5 locations are from 5 different games.
Yeah.
Because of that, then I have a couple honorable mentions.
I have 2 from one game,
yep,
but
cool. You know what? You just get out of here.
I'm sorry. I'll go now. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Okay, bye.
And we're done. Okay, you can find us on anotherzeldapodcast.com. All right. I've got listener feedback. Let's jump in.
Cool.
Okay, actually my angle is a little weird today. There we go. This is better. I'll bring the mic down. So over on this is a comment on YouTube from our Skyward Sword episode, which was the 4th episode of this season.
Cool.
You and I reviewed it, and you know what? I think we had this. This is Ralph Uman, and I think we had Ralph Uman back when we did our Skyward Sword music episode. Also left a comment. Maybe I hope I'm not rereading it, but it says here, I just finished Skyward Sword HD, and I absolutely loved it. I always heard that it wasn't really good, but now it is one of my favorite Zelda games. I really hope that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker come to the Switch so I can play them. Keep up the great work, green heart emoji. Yeah, that was a new comment, but someone we've also heard from in the past. Thank you, Ralph, very much.
Cool.
You know, not to date the episode, but a little hot take. Since Breath of the Wild 2 got pushed back 1 year, there are a lot of analysts that are suggesting that a Wind Waker Twilight Princess combo pack will probably be the Zelda thing that comes out this year.
I did also see that. Yeah. Because it's like, they need to do something, right? Otherwise, there might be a revolt.
Some analysts, was it Doug Bowser or someone said they want to do at least one Zelda thing a year to come out on the Switch.
Sure.
Be it a remake, a spin-off, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And some analysts have guessed that they maybe were even hanging on to the Twilight Princess Wind Waker game in case they had to push Breath of the Wild 2 back. But we are making up. We haven't heard any of that information for real. It's just what people are, surmising? Is that the right word?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on. Oh, sorry.
I do hope, just to add on to that really quickly, I do hope that if they do that they do make either make it different in the way that they did Link's Awakening, different in a
Oh.
different kind of style, or if they were to add something. I hope it's not just if they do put out, a previous game again on the Switch, I hope it's not just like that. Like I
Literally
know,
Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD from the Wii U on the Switch.
right.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I know basically that's what they did with Skyward Sword. Like it's just, Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's exactly the same. It obviously looks better. But I hope it's slightly different in some kind of way.
I hear you. That's
We'll
cool. I feel like the inevitable graphic remake of Ocarina of Time in the next 6 years
Sure.
is probably inevitable, and I cannot wait for something like that. But anyways, here we go. Let's keep on moving.
'Kay.
Whoa, here's an oldie but a goodie. A comment on YouTube from our Twilight Princess review episode back in season 1, episode 9. Umbridge says, "Hey team, love you, love your show. My favorite things about AZP are that I have found people who get me, and it's female perspective. Kate's really nice voice lured me in.
No.
Now there is so much more of it. Mallory, Stephanie, Celeste, oh my. All right,
Aw.
cool.
I love that.
Umbridge, thank you for the thoughts.
Girl
And-
power.
And apparently going like way back and listening to some of those early episodes too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Love it.
Fantastic. It was very maybe I've said this before, but it was really important to me that when we did this show that there was like a guy and a gal, a male and a female.
Sure. Get both sides.
Mm-hmm.
A Link and a Zelda, if you were.
Oh my goodness. Well, here we go over on Apple Podcasts. We have a 5-star review from an Eli828272. Rolls right off the tongue. Best podcast ever.
Duh.
A lot of exclamation. That's what it says in there. Best podcast ever. Duh.
No, I'm adding that.
Yeah, I know. I'm just joking around. Let's see. Eli8272 says, I have been a Zelda fan since I was 10. I'm 14. I played Minish Cap first, Spirit Tracks, Ocarina of Time 3D, A Link Between Worlds, Breath of the Wild, Link's Awakening, the remake for Switch, and I'm currently playing Skyward Sword HD. I love your podcast. I love Zelda. This is perfect. Wonderful. Love it. Love it.
Cool.
Eli or Ellie. Eli. Very good. Fantastic. Another one over on Apple Podcasts. Oh, he's a quickie. WHJSHEF. Would you say?
Bless you.
Simply gave us a review, and the title is Love, and all that is said is love the breadth of content and variety of guests.
Oh,
Thank you so much. Wojciech. Over on here we got a YouTube one, the Princess Zelda's episode. Okay, so that was the second episode of season 5 of this season. That was where Mallory and I got together and chatted about all the different Princess Zeldas. I'm not exactly sure how to say this name, Burley Pelletier or something like that, said, amazing episode this week. I'm a young person. I'd rather prefer not to say my age, and I love Zelda. I've been trying to lose weight, and I've started working out more, and listening to your podcast really helps. I'm a huge fan of this game series, and I have been since I was 6 or 7 years old. Keep up the great work. Bye.
Aw, awesome.
Very nice. Yeah, go for it. We support you in your journey here.
Yeah,
Burley Pelletier.
I cannot listen to podcasts when I'm working out, and I admire those who can, because I feel like I would have a better time because there's so many podcasts. I have to listen to, like, for running at least, I have to listen to like a beats per minute that matches my running.
Yes.
And I get kind of limited in that regard. There are only so many like songs and playlists out there that have that. So man, I admire people who can listen to like podcasts and books.
Yeah, that's super cool. When I bike, I oftentimes have to do the music thing, but there are times if I'm doing like a good, couple hour ride where you want to almost get into the zone for an hour and a half, I do listen to podcasts then, and it's really helpful.
Nice.
It's great. Awesome. Thanks for that comment, and let us know how it goes. Person who is older than 6 or 7.
Yes.
I'm trying to say your age. Then we got it. What is this? An email? This is maybe this one came from Celeste. I'm not sure. The Luca H, I think, emailed us. Or maybe this is like an Instagram thing. I'm not sure. It just says, big fan. Hi, AZP. Been a fan of the show since 2019 and love Zelda. People can say that now. Our listeners, we've been around for a while, Kate. It's been a couple years.
I know.
I mean, I just kind of had a moment just now, realizing been a fan of the show since. My goodness. Sometimes it feels like we just started this yesterday.
I know.
Hi, AZP. Been a fan of the show since 2019 and love Zelda. It would mean so much if you gave me a shout out or just emailed me. So yeah.
Shout out, official shout out.
Shouting it out, Luca H. And honestly, if I can dig back in and find this email, I'll send a reply as well. That's great.
Nice.
And I think we've got one more. We have two more. Here we go. Let's move a little quicker. Hayden Serrano left a comment on our Dreaming Island. This is a person who logged into our website and created an account on anotherzeldapodcast.com and then left a comment at the bottom of the post of our Dreaming Island episode. And of course that was the one where we talked about the making of Link's Awakening, Kate, back in season 4, I think.
Yep.
Hayden Serrano says, "Hey guys, been listening to your podcast for quite a while. Every episode is pure gold, and I always make time to listen to a new one. It especially helps me with my anxiety. Listening to David and Kate really helps me calm down. Thank you and the rest of the team for making such great content. Smiley face." Hayden, fantastic.
I love it.
Yes, making Another Zelda podcast helps me with my anxiety. That is not a lie. So good luck to you on your journey, and thank you for listening to us.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, here's the last one. Over on YouTube, Ryan Betts said on our Breath of the Wild Gameverse reality episode. So that's one where, Kate, you might recall Dan McCoy, who has his own show for 6.5 now. I'm not sure if you even know this yet, because it just came out recently as of this recording. When this episode posted, it'll been out for a while. But Dan McCoy joined me on Another Zelda podcast every once in a while. And we've actually had a chance to build him his own show, and it's called Fan Fiction on 6.5 Media, and it's fiction spelled Fixtion.
Okay.
So each episode, he and another guy named, oh my gosh, I can't remember his co-host's name right now. Matt. It's Matt. So Dan and Matt, they right now, season 1, they're doing video games. They talk about actually their first episode is talking about The Legend of Zelda.
Perfect.
The way Dan puts it is the first half of the episode is elevate. The second half of the episode is celebrate and then elevate. So the first half of the episode, they talk about what they love. And then the second half of the episode, they fan fiction. They fix the fiction. What would they like to see the lore to happen and all that kind of stuff.
That's cool.
They have a Mass Effect episode that's already out right now. And I got to tell you, I'm really proud of him. He's killing it over there. However,
Awesome.
before fan fiction existed, Dan joined me on the Breath of the Wild Gameverse reality episode, in which he and I literally went camping for a couple days and had some fun kind of toying around with the things that happen in Breath of the Wild and trying to do them in the real world. Okay, that was a lot.
Context.
Ryan Betts says, "Great idea for an episode, guys." He said this over on YouTube. "I'm feeling inspired to try a Zelda but in real life activity on my own." I haven't seen this before. I'm feeling inspired to try a Zelda but in real life activity on my own, where I walk into a stranger's house and smash their pots. Pros, it would be a fun way to create the most cathartic part of those games while also finding some rupees inside. Cons, I'd probably go to jail and miss out on Breath of the Wild sequel.
Maybe not.
Should I go for it, or should I stick to my other idea, snowboarding on a frozen leaf a la Twilight Princess? Any advice helps. Kate, you got some thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, I say go for the pots because Breath of the Wild 2 will never come out. So you have
you'll be fine. Oh my goodness.
plenty of time to go to jail. No problem.
Oh my goodness.
Gosh, that's a good question. What would I do?
Another Zelda podcast in no way supports activities that lead to one going to jail.
This is correct. Do not listen to me. I mean, you could
Kate's over here like, yeah, I mean, jail's fine.
go to an archery range and, shoot a bow and arrow.
That'd be cool. In
a sanctioned area. You could do that.
All right. That was great. It's always nice to hear the feedback. Some interesting ones there. Those are comments coming from all over the place on that one.
It's cool.
Kate, I guess, how about I go first? You might recall that the way we do these is we pick 5 of our favorites. We start at our least of our favorites, and then we go up to our most of the favorites, you could say.
I'm familiar with. I've
Indeed.
been here before.
Indeed, yeah. Just reminding our audience as well.
I like to give David
Thanks for the
attitude.
support, Kate. And okay, I have my first, my number 5 of my list up and ready to go, and I'd love to talk about it.
Do it.
So, as I said, I did try to pick different environments from different games. And I originally did not have this pick as my 5th. I think I even had it as my 3rd, but I want to kind of set it up here a little bit.
Okay.
When we think about beautiful locations in Zelda games, it's really easy to think about like the 3D games that have really well realized, beautiful renderings of locations. And I have a lot of those in my list here.
Mm-hmm.
However, I really wanted to challenge myself, and I tried to look back at some of the really old 2D games. I literally looked at the overworld map of the first Zelda game
Mhm.
and tried to see if there was anything about it that struck me that in the context of the game would be beautiful. I took a look at some of the dungeons. I have to be honest, there wasn't anything that really triggered me to put something on this list.
Mhm.
I went in and I started looking at the side-scrolling maps of Link's Adventure. And there's like some cliffside images where Link's jumping from cliff to cliff that could kind of be beautiful. Towards the end of some of the dungeons in that game, there are some statues that are kind of beautiful, but at the end of the day, I couldn't pick anything from there either.
Okay.
Then I thought of something on my own, and I remember the most cinematic or beautiful representation of something in those 2D games where the graphics are limited,
Mhm.
for me, was the first time that I went up the mountain in Link's Awakening and saw the egg.
Sure.
It's the first time the camera is implied to kind of pan up a little bit.
Mhm.
You get the ocean in the background, the big egg on the mountain, and it's only like 2 screens of graphics. On the original, they make it even more beautiful in the Switch remake. But I just wanted to have that be my number 5 pick. And as you can see, I've got a little graphic here if it helps jog your memory. There's the original Game Boy one, and obviously an artistic rendering, and then the Switch remake.
Mhm.
And I wanted to look, even in the Game Boy version, you can see the horizon of the ocean in the background.
Yeah.
And when it comes to creating environments that are that kind of put you in it, I think that's the closest that Link's Awakening got, and so that's my 5th pick.
Sure, I could totally see that. I was trying to think of that kind of game as well to pick a location if at all possible, but I didn't end up picking any just because I was really focusing on the aesthetics, and a lot of those games simply aren't that aesthetically pleasing because they were limited by the technology.
I tried to do a little bit of. I considered Lost Woods in Link's Awakening, Link to the Past. Because
Okay.
they got the kind of like the nice clouds, and remember there's like atmosphere floating around when you go get the sword and all of that.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I went with the egg. It's technically more beautiful for me,
I love a beautiful egg.
especially when it's on a mountain and it's the size of a skyscraper.
Yeah, totally fine and normal. No, I
Mhm.
like that. I like your perspective on
Oh,
that.
I'm going to put it in the list here. And then, so what is, I actually don't know the name of the mountain. I just put the egg in my list here. Okay, I'm just going to put the egg.
Throw the egg on there.
The egg, Link's Awakening. All right, what's your number 5?
Mine are hard to put in order, quite honestly. But
Well,
if
you're going to have to do it because
I'm
that's the format.
okay, I'm
I thought
sorry.
you remembered this.
I but they're all so close. Okay, so I guess if I had to pick one, I was going to go with the Spirit Temple in Ocarina of Time.
Whoa, what?
Both the outside and inside. Now this might not seem beautiful when you first think about it. However, my dad right now is taking this like European, Middle Eastern cruise, and he's sending me all these pictures of like old architecture and statues.
Okay.
And it kind of reminded me of this area with the huge statues that are like built into the rock on the outside, and then also obviously the giant statue on the inside of the temple. And I've always been fascinated with how humans can build these gigantic other humans out of stone and like get the proportions right. I mean, these giant things from thousands of years ago, right? Just the time that you think it takes to build such a thing, and the planning, and like how can they do that when this thing is so out of scale with what they're creating an image of? So that's one of the places that stuck out to me right away when I was trying to think of this list. I love the majesty of the huge statues inside and outside. I like the interactivity of the statue on the inside of the temple when you're kind of jumping around and jumping into its hands and doing things like that. To me, it's like peaceful and beautiful. It's quiet. It's kind of mysterious.
You've convinced me. You got me. Yeah, I get it.
It's
Especially the statue stuff.
Yeah, it's not like bright and airy and sunny or anything, but it's like beautiful in a peaceful, spiritual kind of way.
Wow. I love it. Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I confuse the Spirit Temple with the what's the
Shadow Temple?
Shadow Temple, yeah. And I was thinking, when you first said Spirit Temple, I was thinking, what are you talking about? It's just death and blades and torture. But I think then I realized, oh no, it's the other one.
I really love nightmare hand monsters. Those are my favorite.
Just
I think
so beautiful.
they're so beautiful.
Spirit Temple. I'm into it. I love that. That's
Spirit.
great. I have a feeling you might enjoy my fourth pick.
Okay.
And I'm kind of trying to hide it from you for a second here.
I cannot see.
So this one's from Skyward Sword, this location. And I hope it's not a hot take or anything like that. But I thought a lot about Skyward Sword. I even did a deep dive. I started looking at screenshots of all the different dungeons, and honestly, to pick this list, I literally spent a little time and I found a lot of screenshots, and I wanted to authentically see if anything affected me emotionally, and you know what I mean. Part of it is remembering the experience of playing the game, but sometimes that first forest dungeon in Skyward Sword is beautiful. It's not my pick, but it is technically beautiful. All the curly Q vines and the water and everything. But while I'm playing it, because I'm nervous about the spiders and everything else, it wasn't giving me the beautiful feeling. So that's why I sometimes it's a combination of the experience of being in that area and then the aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
So to that point, the combination of the experience and the aesthetics, my fourth pick is Beetle's Island and Skyward Sword. I know. I think it's so beautiful.
Okay.
I mean, I've got a little screenshot if you want to be reminded. I know you were there too a little bit. Now, specifically, I like it more at night. We've talked about how he's just hanging out by his campfire at night and everything like that. And it's beauty. It's simple in it. It's beautiful in its simplicity for me. The tiny little shack up on the mountain is great. He's parked his weird floating house shop. And it's very serene, I guess, for me. And so even if you're just surrounded by sky, you might as well be surrounded by a beautiful lake or something. It has that feeling for me. And I have to be honest, I went back to his island a few times when we did our Skyward Sword HD playthrough, just to go.
No.
And so that's an indicator for me that I should have included it, And so I have. So I've put it in as my fourth pick.
It kind of reminds me of the land that you have, maybe, in that it's Beetle's Island, especially at night with his fire. It's like camping-esque, where there's a little structure, and you have land where you camp, and there's a little structure.
Oh my gosh, I feel like you just saw into my soul or something. You're right. I think there's a connection. I didn't even realize that.
You have your own Beetle's Island
it's
out there.
Some serenity or something, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Wow. I guess if I lived in the Skyward Sword universe, I'd want that island. That's where I'd want to live. Yeah,
See,
I get it.
There you go.
All right, cool.
I love that journey for you.
I'll take it. Cool. What's your number 4?
Okay, I'm trying to pick between a couple. I'm going to go with Zora's Domain and Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, cool. That was kind of a runner-up for me.
Yep. So for this one, I found this website that's Architecture of Legend of Zelda.
What?
And it's actually a really cool website.
Please share that with me.
Yes, architectureofzelda.com.
That's really what it's called?
Yes.
Okay.
So it is this site with a bunch of articles, blogs, and the author really gets into detail. So it is this guy, he writes these long kind of essays about different locations, and he really gets into it, and it's actually pretty fascinating to read. So I recommend checking that out. And I was thinking about doing Zora's Domain at first, initially, and then I found this website and was reading more and more into it, and he was picking out all these details that I may not have even noticed. But he was showing pictures of the floor, where it's all these different circles and lines and different shades of blue. So basically the blue theme to me is very soothing, along with the water.
I'm kind of a sucker for the water going down the steps. It's so I don't know what, something about that is so beautiful to me.
Yeah, I like that you're kind of splashing along when you're walking through the area.
Yeah.
And I imagine this water being very warm and clean and crystal clear, because obviously that's important to the Zora. They need clean water to be able to live. It also has a giant statue, basically, of a fish. But they also have
you're right.
Yeah. So there's that big
way
fish.
up top.
And then there's also kind of fairly large statues scattered throughout as well. So I like those.
Mifa's in there as a statue.
Yes, exactly. there's unique stonework, pathways, and like I said, different shades of blue. The paths, I think, make it seem bigger than it is because there's no like really straight away. Like there's no easy way to get anywhere.
Yeah.
It's all these kind of like twisting paths where it does take you longer to get from one place to another. So I think it seems like a larger area than it actually is. There's like this pink and purple coral and seaweed like plants in the area, so it makes it really unique.
You're right, on the cliffs around it. I totally forgot about that.
Yeah. So
and you've got all the luminous stones and all that. Wow.
Yeah, even before you get there, it's pretty. And then you get there and you're like, whoa. I think there's something about it that's like geometrically pleasing to me. Like where it's, I don't think it's symmetrical, but it's just,
I think it's pretty close.
Yeah, maybe it is. But it's just like pleasing to look at when you kind of look at it from a big view. Like if you check out, images online where it kind of shows the entire area.
Mm-hmm. There were a few times in game where I'd find myself up on a mountain and I'd look down and see that Zora's Domain is down in that cove.
Yeah.
And you do see it in its entirety. It is pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's also the Great Zora Bridge, which on architectureofzelda.com quotes, it basically is talking about how it has no supports beneath it. So it describes it as, quote, not a single pier, column, or buttress is there and it floats on the strength of its own materials and engineering, showcasing the height of accomplishment of the civilization that constructed it.
Yeah, I'm into that too. That's the bridge that basically takes you into the city, I think, right? Or out, depending on which way you're going.
Right.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because a lot of times I find myself kind of gliding in from the sides, but once in a while, if you do take that bridge, it's a nice, or sometimes I'll take the bridge when I leave, I guess. But anyways, it's a cool experience.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm into it. Oops. Oh, that's funny. My autocorrect here put in Zola's Domain, which is kind of a throwback to the original Zelda game. Remember in the instruction manual, they were spelled Zola, not Zora? But anyways, I love that pick. So right now we have the Egg in Link's Awakening, Spirit Temple and Ocarina of Time, Beetle's Island, Zora's Domain. I think we go to break, and then we'll come back and do the other three like we do.
Sounds good.
Cool. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Okay, bye.
Welcome to our new podcast. Welcome to our new podcast.
This isn't working.
Agreed. I think we're going to have to do it turn by turn.
Well, now that you mention it, we are a brand new RPG video game podcast.
Our very existence hinges on turn-based gaming.
So join us on the Turn by Turn podcast, where we'll be talking about
Pokemon, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Shining Force, Mother, and so many more.
It's your turn to come and join us.
Has this ever happened to you?
This video game is bullshit!
Are you tired of gaping plot holes and boring gameplay mechanics?
Look, all I'm saying is that if a full-fledged Krogan is falling off a platform, there's no way Commander Shepard has the upper arm strength to pull him up.
Has reading become just too tedious of a chore?
Ugh, books.
Are you bored of your same three murder podcasts?
Shocking. It's The Butler.
Allow me to introduce you to the brand new fan fiction podcast with an X, hosted by our lovely basement-dwelling and real-life Muppet, Dan McCoy.
Well, that's hurtful.
And myself, of course, the blonde bombshell with the blood of Odin and the great looks of Jake Busey from Starship Troopers.
That's accurate.
And with our powers combined...
No.
Oh, you never let me do what I want to do.
I said no, man. We're not doing that.
Fine. Anyway, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your fix from. Remember, fan fiction with an X.
Hi everybody, David here. I just wanted to take a second to tell you about Another Zelda Podcast's brand new merch store. Yes, we've opened up the store to celebrate the beginning of Season 5. In fact, I'd like to tell you about our Another Zelda Podcast logo t-shirt. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's our logo on a classic t-shirt, but yeah, it does look pretty neat, especially on the 20 different shirt colors that you can select. All of the staple colors like red and green and black are there, but there's also asphalt, military green, slate, royal heather. I'm not joking, that's one of the color selections. So if you're interested in displaying your Another Zelda Podcast fandom, head on over to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, and click on the merch tab in our main menu right up on the top of the screen there. All right, let's get back to the show. right, we are back, and Kate, I think we were kind of just moving right along with this episode, but let's just go for it. I'd like to get right into my number 3.
Do it.
All right.
Do it. Let's go.
Wow, a lot of personalities and voices happening there. Oh, this one, yes, this is another one of those personal experiences a little bit. And you and I spoke about this perhaps in a previous episode a little bit. This selection, my number 3, and by the way, I picked my 5. I actually picked like 7, and then I did some honorable mentions, and then I picked my 5 and then sorted them. So I didn't say like, this is my number 3, but it became my number 3. But it was actually the first location that I put on my list when just off the top of my head I needed to think of some spaces, some places, whatever.
Sure.
It's not a surprise. It's pretty standard, but it's Lon Lon Ranch with the adjustment of it being twilight when you go into Lon Lon Ranch. And you and I talked about this a few episodes ago. For the first time ever, out of 25 years of playing Ocarina of Time, for some reason I never entered Lon Lon Ranch at dusk. And by accident, I did when I was playing it on the Switch Online service a few months ago. And it was so beautiful that I took some screen grabs and everything else, and I just needed to note it. So that was also a David Geisler thinks this is beautiful experience. And so I put it in. It's my number 3. I've got one screen grab here. I know you've already seen it. You already know how it looks because you used to purposely go in there at dusk, you've told me.
Yes, indeed. I think I accidentally happened upon it like you did, but it just happened sooner for me for whatever reason. So I was like, racing to get there, and basically it's like starting to be sunset, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to get in there at night. And I just happened to make it inside where then it freezes the time. At sunset, and I did not pick this one because I knew it would be on your list. So I wanted to give this one to you.
No problem. Some of the Lon Lon Ranch itself, I would not necessarily add as like a beautiful location. It's a location that's very heartwarming and means a lot to a lot of Zelda fans, but I wouldn't necessarily put it in this list other than the sunrise and sunset lighting in Ocarina of Time is great, especially for the time.
Yes.
They don't really have like shadows and stuff in that moment in technology, but having everything become kind of amber and become, I guess, a little twilight, which is interesting, is great. And there's one other thing that I want to point out about Lon Lon Ranch. When you are in there just as the sun is setting, the sun freezes too, and there's enough structures, there's fences and towers and buildings that you can get those solar flare circles that pretty easily, because the sun is so low that as you walk around, the camera will move, and you just get these gorgeous in the context of Ocarina of Time,
right,
gorgeous like solar flares clipping in and out as the sun passes behind different structures as you move around, and it just really gives you a sense of atmosphere. And so I think that's great.
I agree. I remember playing it and thinking like, wow, this actually looks really good. Like, because you don't say that a lot about Ocarina of Time.
It's true.
It's very pointy. It's a very pointy game. And maybe it's the absence of pointiness that makes Sunset so lovely, because it is just kind of atmospheric and lovely in the colors of the orange and the kind of pink purple. Like, it just seems much more natural than the rest of that game looks.
Yeah, I agree. So that's my 3. I'm going to put it in.
Nice.
Lon Lon Ranch, but
Sunset.
Okay, cool.
Dusk. Twilight.
Dusk.
However you want to phrase it.
Time. All right, cool. What do you have for your 3rd?
All right, for my 3rd, I'm going to go to Twilight Princess, and I'm going to go to Lake Hylia.
Cool. I thought for a second we might have a similar one. So far, I think we don't.
All right. So I am drawn to places near water. That's where I gravitate toward in real life. I love going to...
Oh, this is your theme.
Yeah.
The water thing, because you had Zora's Domain. What was your other one?
Couple
Spirit
different
Temple?
themes.
Okay.
So we'll get into the other theme in a little bit. But yes, water is definitely a theme of my list. I love going to the lake near where I live. I love when I go camping each year at a certain place. There's a lake there. I just like being by water. Even if I can't go in the water, just being by water is what I like. So I think that's why I like Lake Hylia so much. There are really awesome like screenshots that you can find online of the lake. There's not like a ton in the lake. There's like the cannon is there for whatever
Yeah, that's a little,
reason.
I don't know. I'd argue that might be a touch of an eyesore.
Yeah, so not counting the cannon, and there's like a weird tower kind of looking rock structure separate from the cannon. But if you disregard that,
Just don't look that way, guys.
Exactly, just don't look at that. There's that huge bridge
Yeah.
In the view, which I think
Was
is
it
really
the Elden
awesome.
Bridge or something? I think
I don't know if
remember.
it's that one or a different one.
Oh,
It
really?
might be a different one. I'm not super sure. I was trying to figure that out when I was writing this.
Got it.
So I just put huge bridge.
You're right. I think that Elden Bridge is over in a different part of the high. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I think it's somewhere else. But it's another moment of like, how did they build this bridge? Because again, there's no structure underneath, but it looks like maybe there originally was. It's kind of like broken looking at
Yeah.
the bottom. And I like that touch that they did. It's not just like smooth bridge, it's just a bridge. Like there are these like things hanging down from it that kind of suggest it used to go all the way into the lake, which is cool. I feel like you could spend a long time exploring this area in real life. You could take a trip out with your friends and, you could go kayaking or canoeing around the lake. There's some trees over in one area where you could like sit among the trees, have a picnic. You could hike to this waterfall that's over there as well. You could go fishing. You could visit with the couple people that are there. There is that one building on the top of the lake as well.
Where you
like way
the,
up.
where you meet with the cuckoo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
So you could like go visit that guy, and then
Even
like, go
up
down
there,
to
there's
the
a
wall.
great view down on the lake too, isn't there, by the fence and stuff?
Yeah.
And Lake Hylia is big.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm kind of like I'm in my downtime doing a little bit of Twilight Princess right now, and I just done the Lake Hylia find the bugs quest or whatever, and I was swimming through the lake, and it took a long time to swim around in that lake, and it really is pretty big.
It's probably another reason why I like it, because it is expansive. Plus, the music from this area is one of my favorite tunes. If you guys want to listen to the Twilight Princess music episode, we kind of talked about that a little bit. So it's like the combination of the area itself and the music that accompanies it. It's just a very peaceful, lovely place that I would like to spend a day.
Lake Hylia, Twilight Princess specifically.
Yes.
Cool. Any quick comments about the other Lake Hylias? The Ocarina of Time one was kind of okay.
I know. I looked at Ocarina of Time because
I don't know if it's beautiful. I'm sorry to interrupt. I don't know if it's beautiful though. It's a little eerie, honestly. But anyway.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. Like I did want to include that lake somewhere in my list, and I was going between the two, and I was like, yeah, Twilight Princess is just more aesthetically nice looking to me, and that's not even against like the graphics of Ocarina of Time, but Ocarina has like a dead tree in the middle of it, and the walkways, which are like a little walkway in the water. I don't know. It's just kind of, it looks like a crater.
I completely support your choice.
Yeah, thank you.
Just trying to make some conversation there, but yeah, I agree. I actually think Lake Hylia is a touch. Yeah, sometimes in the middle of a sunny day, it's kind of fun to bounce around Lake Hylia, especially if you accidentally enter Lake Hylia from jumping into the canyon over by the canyon over by Gerudo Valley, and you spit out in that little river part.
Yeah.
But Twilight Princess, Lake Hylia is fantastic, and I'm gonna stay on the Twilight Princess train here for my number 2.
All right.
Even water based.
Oh.
Can you guess it?
I don't know.
Not Zora's Domain, not the river, but it's Henna's fishing hole in Twilight Princess.
Oh, I don't know about this.
The fishing. I've got a screen grab. This is where you go fishing in the Twilight Princess game. It's at the top of the river. You enter a little side thing. Are you about to tell me that you've never fished in Twilight Princess?
Wait, well, you have to.
I don't know. I think so.
At first, but that's like Ordon Village.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can fish there.
So maybe I haven't.
So the fish. Oh my gosh, Kate, you are missing an experience. You get into a little canoe with Henna, and Henna is the sister of the guy with the birds in his hair, and also the lady that gives you the river ticket to do the river ride. They're all three of them are siblings.
Okay.
And there is a just gorgeous lake with a rock structure in the middle that also has its own little arc underneath. There's just beautiful trees everywhere. The trees evoke seasons. Sometimes the leaves are kind of pink, sometimes they're green. If you get it at the right time, the lighting is gorgeous and beautiful. You get a lot of that kind of Twilight Princess bloom that you and I love so much in this area. The water is liquid gorgeous. You can see the fish below you. You can see the terrain below you. It is one of the most well realized locations in Twilight Princess, in my opinion. And I'm almost freaking out right now that I feel like I'm like blowing your mind. with
A
this
little
information.
bit. A little bit. I don't think I have been there
Need
before.
to boot up Twilight Princess right now and go there.
Clearly. Yeah, I'm looking at pictures online. It looks awesome.
And it's one of those things where you can just go around and I think there might be like a side quest where you can get a super fancy lure by fishing there or something, or you get a super big fish for reasons. But you're in a boat, and the boat has real physics, and the water's wobbling, and you're moving around in a canoe. You can pick different parts of the area. Leaves are floating on the water. It's just art, from an art design point of view. It's a great location.
I
And
love
it's super
it.
neat. I tell you what, even though maybe what you do is in a day or two, at least just like Google or YouTube a walkthrough at least of Henna's fishing hole or something, and you'll see that it's great.
For sure.
But perfect mix of if you can see from my screen grab here, perfect mix of like the shadow that hits the ground is all pretty realistic with the cliffs and all of that.
Yeah.
It's really it is beautiful, and I just realized a bit like Beetle's Island, it is a place in Twilight Princess that I'll go to just to go there.
Very cool.
It is a bit of a, and I'm a sucker for the rock structure in the middle. There's this really, we were talking earlier about, maybe it was in our previous episode about like going to the beach. Oh yeah, it was in our Skyward Sword or our Twilight Princess music episode. How here in the Midwest, when you go to a lake or you have these kind of like lake beach experiences, the ocean a lot of times are these big sprawling sandy beaches. But when you go to a lake in the Midwest, you are often also faced with some rock cliffs and trees right up to the edge of the lakes and stuff like that. And Henna's fishing hole for me really evokes that, and I really enjoy it.
I like it.
Cool.
Awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I've never even known about before. I learned something
It's going to
today.
become one of your favorite locations in your favorite game.
I bet we talked about it during like the Twilight Princess review episode way back when, probably. But that was many moons ago.
That's all right.
Awesome.
What's your number 2?
All right, my number 2 is from Skyward Sword. Tis the Ancient Sister.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Yes. So.
It's like the statue thing again.
Exactly. So it is my theme of giant statues and water.
And water, it's both of them.
It's both. So the Ancient Cistern, I mean, the main room that you're in most of the time is brightly lit. So it's very sunny and bright, even though, it's a dungeon, but it's still like there are sunbeams, there are skylights, it's yellow and orange. It seems cheerful, a little foreboding, a little dangerous, but that doesn't make it not beautiful. Obviously water elements here. You're swimming along. There are lotus flowers, which are very symbolic in the theme of like the dungeon itself. So this dungeon has a lot of like Eastern themes, kind of Buddhist themes, lily pads. I put another giant statue that moves.
Even better.
So it goes up and down, and part of why I think this location is beautiful is not just based on the aesthetics of what I was just describing, but also the balance between light and dark. That story of the spiders thread. So you do go down into what is thought of as hell, maybe. It's beautiful in its own way. The fact that this dungeon brings both of these things together, I think, really effectively. And, the theme of the spider's thread is that one must live through punishment in order to be given another chance and reincarnation. And even the boss, I put in parentheses, my boy Galactos, is beautiful. Like, it's this beautiful looking boss. It's very, even though it's your enemy, it looks very peaceful in expression. I think that goes with the whole Buddhist theme, like how, Buddha statues are always very serene and everything. And even the room that you're in to defeat it is beautiful. There are like these petals.
There's a nice patina on the robot.
Yeah.
Good glow.
Yeah. But the background that you're in is like these petals on the wall.
That's true. That's
it's
right.
a really pretty room itself. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's one of the best, like most realized, most interesting themes of a dungeon, because obviously we're used to like a forest. Okay, it's trees. Water dungeon. Okay, it's water. Fire dungeon, okay, it's a volcano. But this one is just like kind of out there and I think really effectively done. And I just love the graphics and everything.
I'm in all the way. Yeah, I agree.
So it's not one of those that I would want to like live there. I would not want to live in this area. I think it'd be cool to like
way too much plumbing.
And
remember all those crazy there's like whirlpools and he's getting shot all over the place.
Yeah, and enemies and stuff, things trying to kill you,
like a pile of dead corpses at the bottom. Yeah, I guess there's that.
Yeah, it's just purple, death, soup, air, water. So maybe not that part, but like it would be a cool place to like be the explorer.
Yeah,
and go check it out, and then just stand in that giant middle room and just look all around you at how gigantic it is. And
you can. I'm just realizing in a almost that dome, you would feel the humidity in a good way. There would be a bit of an echo and all of that.
Yeah,
it'd be very cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about.
I think I'm picking up on it. Yeah.
Picking up when I put it down.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I love it. Ancient Cistern. Put that in for number 2 for you. My number 1, I also think it might be obvious, but I'm in full support of it. My number 1 is Satori Mountain in Breath of the Wild. I love this area. I know everybody knows about it. Everybody loves it. It's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be there for reasons. I get it. It's not a deep cut or anything like that. But I did find it on my own before I knew what it was. My first time I played Breath of the Wild years ago. And I remember thinking like, geez Louise, this pond and all these pink petals and everything are so beautiful. And also it's also beautiful from far away because a version of like Aurora Borealis happens above it. I think there's someone driving by. I see. Okay, no problem. I was like, I'm hearing music.
Yeah.
A person who was very excited about their radio just drove by.
Yes.
Satori Mountain, and then of course it gets even more beautiful when that crazy creature shows up in the evenings and stuff like that. You have all the little glowing rabbit creatures, and that's that. I'm totally okay with it. It's also a place that I will sometimes when I'm in Breath of the Wild, I'll just go there. I think I just realized what my theme is. I'm looking at all 5 of mine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the egg, whatever. Beetle Island, Henna's Fishing Hole, Lon Lon Ranch at Dusk, Satori Mountain. I think my theme is places that David can go to be alone. But I guess I'm looking for like serene, restful places is what I realized I guess I was starting to categorize. I never really, I'm only noticing it now because Satori Mountain, I will just go there and sometimes it'll be my destination. I'll be playing and I go, you know what? I'm going to go up the mountain. I'm going to go to Satori Mountain and just hang out for a bit. It's almost sunset or something now.
Yeah.
You just do it. And so I also just realized that, and actually, if I'm being honest, there are times in Link's Awakening where I just go up to the egg just to do it in the game. There's no reason to go up there until the end, but you just go up. And so all 5 of my locations are places that I, as the player, will sometimes go to only to experience that place and not for a game reason. So I think there's something to be said for that.
I love it. When I was doing research for this, was just kind of looking for beautiful locations that maybe wouldn't come to my head immediately. And I saw this one on a list of this is what a lot of people would have picked as well. I don't know that I've been here in the game.
This is an interesting episode.
I don't know. It doesn't look familiar to me. I can see what you mean by, by it being a beautiful location, but I don't think I ever went here.
Yeah. It's the next time that you're in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I know you're playing a lot of other games right now, but the next time you're in Breath of the Wild, if you do see the lights in the sky, maybe just at least do a little viewer marker on the lights and go check it out. Certain nights, or it's every night at midnight or something, there's also this big magical creature that basically looks like a crazy horse and it glows blue and it shows up and it's the spirit of
Lord of the Mountain. It looks like.
Yeah, Lord of the Mountain is. It's kind of not a cemetery. It's in honor of Satoru Iwata, the Nintendo president who passed a few years ago. And so that's all Satori Mountain, the whole thing. The truth is from a game design point of view, it's the designers honoring Satoru Iwata's legacy inside the game. But then in universe in Breath of the Wild, it's also just a very special, beautiful place.
Yeah. I like it. I remember seeing screenshots and being like, what is this place? So much of Breath of the Wild is beautiful, obviously. But yeah, that's one of the places that I had not.
If you're in central Hyrule Field, kind of in the middle of the map, this mountain spot is kind of between you and the Rito. So that gives you kind of an idea where it could be.
Okay.
You know. Anyways, there it is. That's my number one.
All
Satori
right.
Mountain.
Very nice. I think everyone that's ever listened to any episode of our show ever knows what my number one is.
I don't think I know. Wait a second. What?
David.
I don't know. You're gonna say it, and then I'm gonna go. How could I have not thought of it?
Exactly. It's Lurelin Village in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, okay. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
/ also the Necluda Sea.
Which is just south of it, I think, right?
Right. It's basically the same kind of area, but I have brought this one up several times before. I did bring it up in our favorite dwellings episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's where I'd like to go on vacation or live for at least a little while. It's definitely an escape. The water graphics, the sunsets are awesome. You can find amazing screenshots of this online. There are mountains protecting the area, so that also brings another element, another sightline, I guess you would say. So you have the water, you have the trees, you have the mountains. That they're like different levels to look at. If you're looking inland from the water, for example, and those mountains also make it fun to like glide down into the village from. So you get that overhead view if you go up on the mountains there.
My niece did that for a whole afternoon once. She would just climb and then fly down, and then climb and then fly down.
I think you had told me about that before. Yeah,
because I'm repeating myself. I apologize.
No, I love it. So there are palm trees, lanterns, a tiny little market. There are docks and boats, everything, and the music. This is another one that like the lake. The music along with the location like kind of just have to go together to make me feel relaxed and at ease, and I would love to hang out there. It's there are people living there as well. It's not like a totally abandoned area, so it feels communal, where you could go visit people for dinner or just hang out.
Yeah.
You could relax, you could theoretically live there. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I'm in full support of Lurelin Village. I love Lurelin Village.
Yeah.
That's a good pick.
That's my number one.
You had a couple like kind of villages. I guess Zora's Domain is village-esque. That's
Yeah.
cool.
And so that one does not have the huge statue element to it,
But
but
the
it's
water element.
by the water.
So,
I can picture, just like jumping into the water and it's like bath water warm, just, super comfortable, again, clean. It looks so pretty in a game. That kind of thing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to go down our list here. Here we go.
All right.
So we in order of ascension, we're going towards our most favorite.
Okay.
We had the egg from Link's Awakening, then the Spirit Temple from Ocarina of Time, then Beetle's Island from Skyward Sword, Zora's Domain from Breath of the Wild, Lon Lon Ranch at Sunset from Ocarina of Time, Lake Hylia from Twilight Princess, Henna's Fishing Hole from Twilight Princess, the Ancient Cistern from Skyward Sword, Satori Mountain from Breath of the Wild, and Lurelin Village from Breath of the Wild. I love it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's statues in water for Kate, and it's I was joking earlier, but I think what I'm realizing, I think I was accidentally finding places in games where you can find a moment of rest.
Yeah, I was actually going to say the same thing about mine, moments of like reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I had two honorable mentions here real quick.
Yeah.
I almost forgot about them. I was going to bring them up earlier.
For sure.
The first one is, and I mean it, the Sacred Grove in Twilight Princess. Now, the thing that's unfortunate about the Sacred Grove is that it's a very tense side quest that you're in. You've got the crazy, scarecrows coming at you, and you have Skull Kid giving you a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
But if none of that was happening, it is so beautiful in there. It is strikingly beautiful. Look, here, I've got a screen grab right here. Check this out. It's just shockingly beautiful.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I have the same thought, exactly what you said. Like, I hate that part in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could just like look at it, but you can't because you're chasing the dang scarecrow around. So I totally agree.
It's true. And then another honorable mention that I actually had in my list originally is the Dueling Peaks in Breath of the Wild. No particular exact location. It's not like my actual picks where it's like, go to this special pond, go to this special whatever. But the a piece of the Dueling Peaks, obviously, to me, I think it's the story behind them, the geological story that's implied is that it was a big rock structure, and probably things shifted underneath and the thing cracked apart. And it really was one big mountain or one big rock. And so it's split apart, and you have this amazing little road and valley now that goes through it. And it's just absolutely striking. almost from any view when you look at it in Breath of the Wild. And so I wanted to include that as an honorable mention.
Nice. I had a couple as well. Did you have others?
No, that's it. Just those two.
So I had a couple as well, and one of them I put, this is a cop-out, but any place at sunset.
Of any Zelda game?
Any Zelda game, any place at sunset. Chef's kiss. Gonna be nice. So, like, in the same vein that Lon Lon Ranch, you could go to Kakariko Village at sunset as well, and that's very pretty.
It's pretty good.
So that was one of my honorable mentions. Obviously, I did not include it because it doesn't count. Another one, people will not be surprised to hear because it's giant statues, is the 7 heroines in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I could see that. See that.
Yeah, giant statues, and like we mean like real giant, where you can climb up those things, and they're just like, I mean, they are humongous,
like skyscrapers. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's just really beautiful in the sense of the scale of the thing, and just being able to again interact. I think it's beautiful when you can like really feel like you're part of the environment, and considering you're actually physically climbing these statues, you can feel like you're part of it. So.
They're even a little striking if you do accidentally see them from above because you're going over a cliff or something.
Yeah.
They're even striking from that angle.
Yeah.
And they're certainly striking if you're coming up from the ground. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
When you're looking up, it's like a what's that movie? A Never Ending Story moment or something like that.
Yeah. And they have their big swords that they're hanging on to. It's just very, very, very cool. So that was my other honorable mention.
That's great.
Giant statues and water.
Statues and water. That's great. I think that was actually kind of a weird. I feel calm right now. Like actually, I started the episode a little uppity, but not just because we've been talking about all these beautiful places. Like I feel like my my spirit's at peace right now. It's a little weird.
Aw, you're like, I just need to sit by some giant statues and a tree and a fishing hole and a campfire, and
it's true.
Feel at one with the world.
I'm gonna have to include some of those Breath of the Wild locations in as our background for our YouTube videos. You know.
Yeah, for sure.
That'll be great. All right, cool. Well, Kate, I think I don't have any final comments or anything. I think it was a great list, a lot of fun.
Yeah, I guess I would just say, as always, if the listeners have another beautiful location that they truly enjoy that maybe we didn't talk about or didn't realize or anything, like leave us a comment on the various places that they can leave comments, which is where, David?
On Twitter, it's Another Zelda Pod. On Instagram, it's Another Zelda Podcast. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts just by searching Another Zelda Podcast on any of those platforms. Or you can go to our website, anotherzeldapodcast.com, where we have all of our previous episodes. We have blog posts. We have links to our merch. We have links to our Patreon page. We are, and maybe it's all, by the time this episode comes out, it might exist. But Celeste and I have been talking about trying to create we've had a few requests from Zelda fans to be able to share their fan art like through our site.
Cool.
I know. We didn't really plan or expect this, but there's been enough people kind of mentioning it now that Celeste and I have been thinking about how might we be able to support the community in that way too.
Nice.
And so there might even be a fan art gallery page at this point on the site. I'm not sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, very, very cool.
It'll be a mystery if you're listening to this episode. Is it there? Is it not? We'll see. Maybe.
Yeah, behind the curtain, we're recording this one pretty early. Probably a month or two before it actually comes out. So we're time traveling just a touch on this one. But anyway.
We're untethered in time. I listened to a podcast once where they weren't sure when it was going to air, so they kept talking about how they were untethered in time. So they didn't know like what the current events would be when it came out. They're like, maybe the world is great right now. Maybe it's terrible. I don't know. We're untethered in time.
I like it. All right, Kate. Well, I am just going off memory. I don't remember what our next episode is, but I think 2 episodes from now is going to be Oracle of Ages.
Woo!
Ooh. There'll be a review episode. I don't know. Maybe I can't remember. It's not off the top of my head. We've got a lot of. We're doing a full season this season, all 24 episodes or whatever. So I am losing track just a touch, but it's all in the spreadsheet. It's all in the spreadsheet. It's all very exciting. And Kate, for whatever that topic is, that the next thing is that we're recording, which we'll have a meeting about a week or 2 from now. I'll see you then.
I can't wait for that random topic that I don't know.
Okay, bye. I guess I'll do it. I was trying to set you up. See you, Kate.